Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be making a zine for Valentine's Day based on my characters from my novel Windseeker. Now this is a project that I actually started for my school's cartooning club, but I made it into a video because I thought it was really fun. And as always, before we start, if you didn't know me, I'm a 17-year-old author and I write environmentalist children's fantasy novels. Okay, so before I start making my zine, I wanted to show off this really cute zine that my friend made also during cartooning club. It's actually about me and my author adventures, so you could read it if you want. It's really fun. So we're starting off with a sketch. As you can see, I've already sketched most of the front cover off camera. I did a lot of the sketch off camera actually because I stopped recording a little while later because my phone was about to die. But anyway, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the story behind this zine. Or not the story behind it, the story in it. So if you didn't know, Cleo and Fern are the two main characters of my novel Windseeker, and they're both 11 years old. Cleo is a normal human girl who's going to a boarding school, and Fern is her classmate who is secretly a witch. And throughout the novel, they go on adventures, they battle ogres, and their ultimate goal is to save 6 magical species from extinction. There are a lot of environmental themes. I really wanted to raise awareness about the environment to kids through this book. And I'm really proud of it. It's definitely my favorite book that I've written so far. My idea for this scene is that, so actually when I first started middle school, something that really surprised me was that unlike in elementary school where you make boxes and you sort of just bring candy and notes for everyone, in middle school it really does seem like Valentine's Day is reserved for people who are a couple. Since Cleo and Fern are 6th graders and they're just starting middle school, I wanted to make that a part of it. It's nothing actually romantic, obviously, because like I said, they're both 11. But in this scene, they're basically just giving gifts to each other, and it's supposed to be really sweet and cute since neither of them is really the type to express their emotions freely. Fern is incredibly shy, and Cleo is just emotionally constipated. I'm now doing line art. As usual, I'm using a regular ballpoint pen because I don't have any fancy art supplies, but that's okay. And it feels a little bit unusual for me because when I'm drawing in this style, I usually do it digitally. Usually when I'm making traditional art, I'm doing like realistic drawings of animals or like plants and stuff, just nothing that requires clean lines. So this was something that I struggled with a little. I always feel like my lines are a little bit shaky. But thankfully it did not get too bad. I could have messed it up a lot worse considering that I was drawing in sort of a weird position because I had to make room for the camera that was filming. So I was looking at the drawing at a sort of unnatural angle for me. The girl on the left is Cleo and the boy on the right is Fern. I always feel the need to clarify that Fern is a boy because otherwise people think that he's a girl because, you know, he's a witch and has a traditionally feminine name. The reason for his name actually is that all witches in my novel are named after poisonous plants, and there are some species of ferns that are poisonous. But anyways, I'm rambling. We are doing the line art for the first page, and on this page you can see I'm drawing Cleo's rain boots. This is just to show that she's coming into the scene. And then we see her sort of thinking about the old Valentine's traditions at her old elementary school and how they've changed in middle school. Like what I was talking about earlier. And this is especially fitting because Cleo is someone who's never experienced much love, and I don't mean romantic love, I just mean love in general. Her parents are famous social media influencers who are always traveling the world and never come back to visit her. So she lives with her grandparents who are always fussing over her, and she just doesn't understand that people show their love in different ways. And all of this has led her to believe that love isn't real and that people are fake because they act like they love others when they really don't. And Cleo has some attitude problems. She's pretty rude, pretty immature, and she's always trying to run away from her problems and also the world in general. But she does change a lot throughout the book as she grows closer to Fern, who shows her what unconditional love really is. And I wanted to mirror that a bit in this scene. On the first page, she's just thinking about how she has lost yet another expression of love and affection that she had before, since her new school does not do those Valentine's Day traditions anymore. And she's actually sad about it, but she denies it by saying that love is stupid and she didn't really want those gifts anyway. But then Fern comes in wanting to sit with Cleo, and Cleo acts pretty annoyed at first, which is pretty consistent with how she treats Fern towards the beginning of Windseeker. And that's basically what happens in the first 2 pages. Now back to the art. I wanted to draw Cleo and Fern in their usual outfits that I usually draw them in, but their school has a uniform, so I just sort of implied that it's like after school, like they're not in their uniforms anymore, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense since I've never been to a boarding school before, but I would imagine that the students don't like change out of their uniforms immediately after school ends. But that's alright, I don't think anyone will notice. And here we are on the 3rd page, where Fern reveals that he actually is here to give Cleo a present for Valentine's Day. He has handmade a little plush of his cat, who has a bit of an attachment to Cleo. This is actually pretty important in the first few chapters of the book. The cat is an important plot device, so this is sort of a reference to that. And on page 4, Cleo is just very surprised, and then they have this little exchange about them not actually being each other's Valentines, because I just wanted to make it clear that, you know, this isn't anything romantic in case anybody decides to take it that way. At this point, I was having a lot of fun with this project. I was liking the way it was looking, which is good because I did want this to be a fun and low-stress project. Now on page 5, we see Cleo's reaction to Fern's present. She basically just pulls out a candy box from inside her backpack and gives it to Fern. And she doesn't want to admit to Fern that she was actually thinking of him, so she tries to play it off as just something that she happened to have on hand, and she's just giving it to Fern because the situation calls for it. But in reality, she was preparing this all along and actually chose it very thoughtfully. Okay, now that I'm done with the outlining, I'm starting with the coloring, and I'll be honest, I really regret coloring this scene. I feel like it looked so much better with just the line art because when I colored it, a lot of the details of the line art were covered by the dark colors, especially since Fern and Cleo both have dark colored hair, which covered a lot of the lines of the hair. And also Fern's vitiligo just doesn't, I don't know, I have trouble getting it to read well when I'm drawing traditionally. When I'm drawing digitally, it's not as much of a problem, but with colored pencil, everything is sort of blurry around the edges, and this combined with the fact that a lot of his vitiligo is around his eye, so it sort of blends in with his eye whites, which makes it look like I simply didn't color the eye whites properly. It doesn't fully read as vitiligo. I think another reason I dislike the coloring so much is that since I was trying to make this more of a fun and easy project, I made the decision to not add any shading. Usually I would have highlights in the hair to suggest the different portions of it, as well as highlights on the clothes and the skin and everything, but without all of that, everything just looks like a blob and it becomes really ugly, and it also brings out the colored pencil texture a lot, which I'm really not a fan of. At this point, I was starting to get pretty tired since I had done all of the outlining and all of the coloring in one sitting. I was not feeling very excited about my art because I felt like I had already ruined it with the coloring, but I just had to keep going on because I couldn't just leave part of it colored and part of it not colored. So, I don't know, it started feeling like a chore at this point. I didn't really want to go on, but I had to because I had to get this video out and I didn't want to be any more late than I already am. One thing I do like about the coloring though is that I use consistent pinks and light reds for the backgrounds. I think it tied everything together. I also like how I colored the speech bubbles all the same color. And Cleo, of course, is as vibrant as always. I think her colors always look good. With that, I'm done with my Valentine's Day zine. Here are all the pages all together. I'd like to say that I'm happy with this, but I'm really not. Even ignoring the terrible coloring, there's still a lot of other issues. For example, the composition is not very interesting since most of the panels are either just a straight-on headshot or an equally basic side view. And my handwriting is also not very good in this. But I think that's okay because I can't possibly love all of my art. I will always make things that I don't like. I did at least have fun with this, or at least most of it. So I'd say that overall it was a success and it was a great way to celebrate Valentine's Day. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you have a fantastic rest of your day. It always feels awkward to end the video without an outro though. I promise I'll make an outro at some point. I'm planning on maybe turning it into a video because that might be the only time I'll ever get it done. Okay, bye.